Welcome to Go Bucks. We are live. We have a lot to talk about. There's two major developments happening right now in Michigan, Ohio State football, related football. Michigan plays Penn State this weekend. It's going to be an epic game. We've got the Connor Stalions controversy that's happening. I'm sure that the Buckeye fans on this group here probably think that's going to be a much bigger issue probably than I do. But guys, welcome. Let's start with you, Diego. How you doing, man? Maryland guy.
I'm doing well. It's my first time on the show in about a month or so, so I'm happy to be back.
You know what? Well, nobody sent any comments asking where you were, just so you know.
I know. I noticed. I checked the comments. Nobody cares about me. But no, since I was on, my Maryland Terrapins fell apart. So the listeners / watchers can know
predictably fell apart and predictably became
Maryland
average.
propaganda. They won't hear Maryland propaganda today. It's over.
Yeah, Ohio State really needs to start scheduling the Maryland game towards the end of the year instead of at the beginning. That way we get to play them when all their guys are hurt because they have no depth every year.
And their spirits are crushed already.
Pretty much.
That's awesome. Matt, how you doing? Let's go to Matt first. We'll come back to Maryland, guys.
Yeah, I've been having a little bit of fun on Twitter the last few weeks, going to town on all these Michigan fans. They keep on thinking that, they're going to have a full coaching staff the rest of this year and there's not going to be any punishments. And, I think that they're all crazy.
That's too funny. Jason, how are you doing?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Nate. I'm glad to be here. I'm good.
All right, awesome. Yeah, Jason has his own awesome podcast. It's on music. It's called All Things Blues and Southern Rock. And you can check that out anytime. Just Google it. Yep. And it's awesome. What are you guys doing on there now, Jason? You've had some good names lately.
We have. So Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Frank Hannon of Tesla, Devin Allman, Charlie Starr, Blackberry Smoke. All sorts of good people here recently. So definitely log in and check us out. I think our episode with Devin Allman comes out tomorrow, November 10th.
Dude, that's great stuff happening. All right. Let's talk about, I mean, Michigan and Penn State, it's coming up. We'll talk about that. We'll do our picks. Jason's going to give all of us a rapid fire segment at the end of this, which will be a lot of fun. Let's talk about Connor Stalions. So he's gone. The NCAA came back. I mean, he resigned, right? Because they weren't going to fire him.
Well, before you get into the thing too far, I just want to know why he resigned, because Michigan fans assured me there was no cheating.
Well, there was. I mean, he's not allowed
to scout. I have not heard any Michigan fans admit to any kind of cheating.
I will. I mean, that's against the rules. I mean, scouting your opponents in person, you're not allowed to do that. He should at least be.
I thought that there was a loophole if you paid someone else to do it and you didn't do it yourself.
No,
then it didn't count. I was assured that did not count.
You were not assured by anyone here. Maybe on your muckraking that you do. And Matt, do you actually want to share your handle for everyone for your muckraking, or do you want to be incognito?
I think people can figure it out.
Gamification.
Go follow him and respond with much aggression.
Wait, is that named after the great Ted Ginn Jr.?
It is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you may not be able to see the Buckeye paraphernalia on behind Matt, but he's the token Buckeye guy here for sure.
I'm financially obligated to like Ohio State. I didn't go there, but I have two kids there, so I do have a little bit of a little bit of feel for him. But other than that, meh.
Okay, so let's start here. Connor Stalions was in the wrong. He should not have gone out and pre-scouted. Now, stealing signs is not illegal, but he should not have done the pre-scouting. So Baylor had an issue where they did that years and years ago. They had an actual coach, not a staffer. They had an actual coach, assistant coach, go to, I think it was a Baylor game and watched Oklahoma or something like that. In any case, this ended up being a level 3 violation, and he was suspended for half a game. So, granted, Connor Stalions was doing this at more situations, more games. It was obviously he was much better at it if it was pre-scouting at all. What do you guys take from that? It's a level 3 violation, a half a game suspension for the coach, not a coach, not a staffer, I guess is what he was. An analyst is what Connor Stalions was. So what should it really be for Connor Stalions, and what should it be for Michigan? I mean, you can say two things at once, right? It was wrong for him to do that, but at the same time, my case is that it's probably not as big a deal as all these pearl clutching coaches in the Big Ten want this to be, because it sounds like they just want to get rid of Jim Harbaugh, and they're using this as a lame excuse to do that.
Cheating's wrong. I mean, don't break the rules.
Wait, could it be that they're bitter at Jim Harbaugh because they think that Jim won some games against them that he wouldn't have won?
I doubt it, because everyone feels signs anyway.
There was an interesting article that came out. I think it was in the Atlantic. Now I don't pay for that, so I don't read the article, but I did see the.
You read the headline.
The highlights they were sent. They were sent from it, and there was 50 coaches they were interviewed, and it was something like 47 of them were. They thought this was a major advantage, and it was completely unacceptable. And so, and also all the articles seem to say that it's very commonplace to share, talk in basketball and in football, in probably all sports. Just you always talk with other coaches and find out what other people are doing, and for whatever reason that's not only legal but also common, and coaches don't think that's a big deal. From what I've been arguing with on people on Twitter, everyone seems to think that, oh, well, all these allegations that Ohio State and Rutgers helped give Purdue some signs before the Big Ten championship game last year. I mean, number one, it wouldn't make sense for us to even help Purdue, because we would want Michigan to win that game, because if Michigan lost after they beat us, then we wouldn't have a chance to make it into the playoffs. We wanted Michigan to win because them getting a high seed and being undefeated would ensure that we got in. Our compliance also cleared us the other day. And, the Ohio State, I'm sure like Michigan fans that don't pay attention wouldn't believe anything that our compliance department says. But, that's like one of the things Ohio State fans are really hate our compliance. And in general, like the Big Ten compliance departments outside of Michigan this year are pretty harsh, and they're sort of the opposite of how like the SEC works. When people in the SEC get accused of things, they just tell them, okay, we're not helping. If you can find information and get us in trouble, go for it. They don't ever help. Whereas like all these schools in the Big Ten, they just, we did something wrong here. Like, let's give you all this information about things that we did wrong. So it's sort of like a different way of going about things. And for whatever reason, that's how it always is. And this year, though, the new Michigan president has been very, against, getting to the bottom of it. Like none of the people and none of the coaches or anything have been even interviewed in this whole process by, any kind of a Michigan investigation. They're just basically trying to stonewall anything, and they're claiming due process, but all they want is for the season to be played and for the playoffs to be over with. And then I think, especially if if Harbaugh loses one game, I think they're going to have a problem with, going forward and taking a punishment. But they are going all out to just postpone this as long as they can. And one of the funniest things that I didn't text you guys this yet because I wanted to bring it up right now and see what you think. So they hired, Williams and Connolly to defend them. And the attorney, this is hilarious. Diego, you'll appreciate this. The attorney who wrote the 10-page reply brief to the Big Ten today, that was just published, the full 10 pages was just published like a couple hours ago. And he lifted it, a couple paragraphs lifted verbatim from an MGO blog website today.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was probably a couple attorneys on there.
Hilarious. It wasn't like he just like took, a citation to a rule. Like the whole wording in the paragraph was word for word.
It was a copy-paste job.
Yeah. So like they're plagiarizing from MGO blog.
Right. The word for word stuff is related to like scores and saying that the scores weren't, or like it wasn't word for word stealing of a brief. You're like, let's be clear, right?
It wasn't a brief.
Right. It was the lawyers were copying what like some defenders of Michigan were
Yes.
saying on a website in discussing how this cheating, which is what it was, didn't really have any effect, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So basically it's a bunch of nerds who don't watch football who were desperate for, an explanation of, the football aspect, not the legal component of it.
Well, let's keep in mind, though, these are two governing bodies that we're talking about. We've got the NCAA, who's going to finish this in about 10 years. And then we've got the Big Ten, who can do something now if they want to. And Jason, I know he's got the money. But, I mean, Michigan's case is like, look, there's more information coming out all the time about this. Connor Stalions comes out and makes a statement and says Jim Harbaugh had no clue. The NCAA comes out and says, you know what? We don't have any evidence that Jim Harbaugh had any clue. Michigan's making the case like, hey, Big Ten, why are you going to let the mob? And this is like from what Joel Klatt actually said was pretty smart. Said, why are you letting the mob dictate like what you're going to do and that you're just going to overreact?
Well, who says they have? Who says they have let the mob dictate what they're going to do?
Well, they kind of have. They've given notice to Michigan to say that they, that I can't remember the exact wording, but they've gone to Michigan and said it. The Big Ten
gave notice to Michigan to respond. They have not issued any punishment, so they have not let the mob dictate anything yet.
Specifically asked Michigan's president to punish Jim Harbaugh. The Big Ten.
You don't know what evidence they have at this point, though.
Yeah, you don't know what evidence, and B, what I would say to the Connor Stalions comment you made is let's see Connor Stalions' financials, because that comment probably was preceded by a large cash donation to the Connor Stalions Fund.
Thank you, Diego.
His bank account.
Thank you for making my point.
No, it was.
We don't know that information. We need to let that information come out.
I know, and I guarantee you, they're not allowing. Hold on, I guarantee you.
See, even Diego's bandwidth knows he's full of shit.
I'm gonna be very short about this, just for this sake. Then Nate, we need to hear your opinion on here. But right now, the Big Ten has two teams in the top four. A lot of money is at stake if these guys go into the playoffs and play for the national championship. Right now, initial blood has been drawn with Stalions out. They're going to let this ride. If anything at all happens, and I'm very skeptical it does, just because of big money, it's not going to happen until well after the season's over.
Right. Yeah. So what is Nate talking about with the mob?
The mob meaning the Big Ten just coming in and the new commissioner coming in and the thought that he's going to suspend Harbaugh. He has the power to do it. He can suspend. He could for any reason that he wants. The commissioner of the Big Ten can suspend a coach for 2 games. He needs to go back to the committee to get any more than that. So he could do it now.
I don't think you can say that the mob has taken over unless and until Harbaugh is suspended or some other action is taken.
The Big Ten is going to be very cautious because this guy's not going to blow his new gig by rushing to judgment and blowing up 2 teams in the top BCS top 4 right now. Don't you think, Matt? Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I sort of, in a lot of respects, agree with regardless of everything that's come out, it's really hard for a conference to be able to sink one of their prime teams that's potentially one of the best teams in the country, has a great chance to go undefeated and go into the playoffs. And if they're in the playoffs and let's say they beat Ohio State would have a really good chance of being number 4 again, just like last year.
Yep.
And so it's sort of like they're trying to do the same thing they did previously, and it's setting up just to be like that if we're not able to win, and that's a lot of money to be turning down. So it would be really easy for the conference commissioner to just say, let's let the NCAA do this and let's not do it ourselves. But they also are under a lot of pressure from not only every other school in the conference. They have 13 other schools that are very upset about what's going on, and it's also been a really bad look for the sport in general. And I think just the negative PR for not just the Big Ten, but just college football. Like, people want to believe that everything is on the up and up, and just this is a really bad look for the sport. And I think that they're going to want to do something, and I just don't see how he's not going to at least suspend him for a couple games. I've said that from the beginning that he's going to get at least 2. I've been reading lately
this season.
Yes, yeah, this season.
No way.
So
That would
it would be hilarious. It would be it would just be for Penn State and Maryland, and then he would come back for Ohio State.
Unless they have damning evidence that's going to get out in the public, I don't see that happening.
Well, it's funny because in the I was telling you guys earlier, the funniest part about the 10-page defense letter was they weren't defending their cheating. They were basically saying, other people do it too, but they didn't actually defend the fact that they did anything wrong. Yeah, they were like, if you look at the 2 games that we played since Connor Stalions has been fired or let go, our point per game average has gone up, right? But I think the more important stat to look at is number 1. Well, first of all, that was like Michigan State and Iowa, which were 2 of the worst teams they played this year. I'm not Iowa, Michigan State and Purdue. If the more important stat is to look at, let's look at Michigan's point differential before Harbaugh had Stalions on his team. So he was 69-24. He was winning an average of 15.8 points per game before Stalions got on the roster in 2021. Since Connor Stalions joined the staff, he went 21-1, and the point differential went from 15.8 points per game to 28.1 points per game point differential. So that's an unbelievable increase in efficiency across the board, not only in record and, obviously part of that, I will give a little credit to, the recruiting. So JJ McCarthy, even with the cheating, is a much better quarterback than anyone they've ever had. And it's not even
but hold on a second. They're recruiting, their quarterbacks have been 4-star recruits anyway.
Well, they've all been bad though. Like, just because you have a high.
Right, but what I'm saying is
they've been bad quarterbacks. They're not NFL potential. McCarthy is supposed to be a high first-round pick.
Yeah, but you have to show me that there's been an actual difference in the pre-college, the rankings of the recruits. Because just because they're hitting on some recruits in your mind doesn't mean that those recruits are actually that much better. It could be that their cheating is that much better, and their cheating is making the difference.
So yeah, what's been the difference the last couple of years, because they've recruited pretty much the same level during Harbaugh's tenure.
So can I chime in on as the resident Michigan dummy
defender?
So defender,
Kool-Aid drinker,
exactly. So the big difference is in after 2020, that huge debacle, COVID year, Michigan went 2-6, I think,
and they were 2-6 to play Ohio State.
Michigan fired like all the coaches basically. He started back up, especially on defense. Got a bunch of brand new coaches, new young blood.
A bunch of cheaters?
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I think that he just did some really awesome stuff. He got new coaches and talent. Cade McNamara was actually a competent quarterback. As he wasn't like, he didn't light the world on fire, but he was competent and accurate. Something they haven't had probably almost like through all the Harbaugh years at all. Harbaugh went back to the running game. I mean, they just had JJ McCarthy, like Matt was saying. That's what the difference was. The style and coaching, he just went back to his roots. He took over like the speed and space like mantra. He just basically took it over. It was awesome. And so that is the main thing. They didn't start winning games because they had some young analyst on there stealing, other teams' calls. You can still get other teams' signs even without going and scouting. It's harder. It's not as good. It's much better if you go to the games, obviously, but you can still get them all, and that's all proven by.
No, you can't get them all.
Not all. You're
going to get them all,
but you can get a bunch of them as proven by what we just saw with Ohio State and Rutgers sharing with Purdue.
I just like that after 12 years, Harbaugh figured out how to be a winning coach. That's all.
Well, he figured that out in San Francisco, and he figured that out also at Stanford. But at Michigan, This is bigger learning. Excuse me. Bigger
He
learning.
can't even get that out without choking himself up because he knows it's bullshit.
That COVID cough never went away.
Exactly.
It's Michigan strain. That's why.
That's the thing. So like if you have signals, so here's the difference. So let's say you're live in a game, and
I don't know who that's. I don't know who Socrates is referring to there.
No, that's
I
Socrates.
know. I just asked.
Socrates.
Yeah, that must have been towards Diego or Matt. I can't remember. But yeah, keep commenting.
I mean, if you're going to
Socrates.
insult us, at least tell
like
us who you're insulting.
Nah, he doesn't have to do that. We're just assuming it's the Maryland guy.
Socrates, you a-hole. I played 7th and 8th grade, so fuck off if you're talking about me.
We got a big.
I was 4'10", 102 pounds, and I was a terror in 8th grade.
How many years of Madden football did you play?
Yes, Ryan is absolutely right about McCarthy. Like they were all bums before him.
Okay,
well, Shoelaces was pretty good.
You said
Shoelaces
they were
was
all
good.
they were all highly recruited quarterbacks. So something changed. The recruiting has been pretty good consistently, top 20 for a long time. Yeah,
the quarterback position means a lot. And
yeah, but the quarterbacks have all of a sudden got better towards 2020 and beyond. So what happened to all these other 4-star quarterbacks before that? Why were they not effective?
Hey, Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. McCarthy is way better than anyone except for Shoelaces. He was pretty good.
Yeah, Shoelace was pretty good.
Again, my stance is cheating or no cheating, nothing serious is going to be done until after the season's over. There's too many dollars at stake for the Big Ten. And unless something's about ready to go public, I don't see anything happening.
I agree. I think the Big Ten played their hand. I think this is all they're going to do. They went to Michigan, to the president, Santa Ono, and said, hey, we really think that you should suspend Jim Harbaugh for a couple games. Santa Ono, who's he's a president now, brand new president at Michigan. He's a sports-friendly president, unlike the previous guy. I think it was Mark Schlichel. He was just like this crusty old, like, so I can't remember what he was, but he was not sports-friendly at all. He was a pearl clutcher.
He was there about the academics and kids learning and getting degrees, not sports.
Yeah, he was like a paleontologist or something, something in that regard. But in any case, now we've got a president who's willing to actually stand up for Jim Harbaugh, the sports, and it's going to be
and all the money that comes with it.
Exactly. Oh no, Mark was still wanted the money.
The other funny thing that I've been reading about, and all these Michigan fans are saying that they hope that Michigan moves to the SEC, and they're saying, the president's talking with Mike Slive, and they're all going to go, and if Harbaugh gets suspended and they lose out on the season, they're going to go to the SEC and all this other nonsense.
There's two good teams in the Big Ten until everybody from the West joins in. So there's still big fish in a very large but shitty pond. So why go to the SEC where there's better schools?
Yeah, no, I also wanted to comment on what Ryan was saying. This is one of the hardest things for me. So I don't want there to be any excuses when we win either. But I also don't think it's fair that they're getting all these signals and all this extra cheating and that they're not punished for. Because how many times have you seen where a team cheats, let's say for a full season or whatever? Usually it's not 3 seasons in a row like this. Usually they get caught eventually a little bit quicker than this. And so, like, let's say that the Michigan team of this year is cheating this year, and then the coach leaves and goes to the NFL. So he gets in trouble, but it doesn't matter. And then half the players go to the NFL. They don't get in trouble. So who gets in trouble? Then there's a lack of institutional control that gets nailed. The university gets nailed with, like what happened with Tressel at Ohio State. And who gets in trouble for that? The next coach has to deal with that. The most of the players that affects are going to be players that weren't involved in actual cheating. So wouldn't it be more fair to actually punish the people that are involved in the cheating?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But I mean, you could say if you're forced to leave the job that you're at to go to the NFL, let's say, that is sort of like you didn't get punished necessarily, but you left. You wouldn't, maybe you weren't going to leave. I mean, Jim Harbaugh might be a different case because he would have left.
Well, I'm talking a lot about the players too. Like all the players are going pro, and they're not gonna have to suffer any consequences for this.
Yeah, but I know, but that's just the way the NCAA works. I mean,
well, it doesn't have to.
It's not really fair to punish everyone who didn't do anything either.
And I wanted to get back to one of the legal questions. Maybe Diego could chime in here. So one of the interesting parts is there's a rule that just went into effect this year that said that this is NCAA, not Big Ten. The NCAA rule said that they're saying that after 3 weeks of investigation, that the NCAA has not yet found any kind of a link that Harbaugh knew of what Stalions was doing. The new rule says that the head coach is responsible for any bad acts of his staff members. So he, obviously the punishment won't be as severe, but it's basically the end run rule, right? So the president or the head coach is going to be liable for anything that happens. So he would, he's going to get a suspension from the NCAA a year from now, whenever that comes through. Now, the issue is the Big Ten is basically fighting this on a sportsmanship rule. And there's no clause in there that says, like the NCAA, that the head coach is responsible for everyone underneath him. So that's not specific. It's not specifically written out for the Big Ten, but they could potentially just do that anyway. I mean, I don't, that's the thing. I don't know what they're going to do.
Well, the sportsmanship clause in the Big Ten is nebulous at best. I mean,
no, definitely.
You could
it's
use
like that on purpose.
I mean,
that way he's given a lot of leeway.
Could decide that with Ohio State and Rutgers sending the Michigan signals to Purdue, he could come out and say, well, that's probably not very sportsmanlike. Maybe we'll just punish them. I mean, it's a nebulous rule that they can just come out and do that. It's probably why they don't, because, I mean, any team, if they get any kind of NCAA violation, you could say that violates the sportsmanship clause. Michigan bought burgers for some recruits, sportsmanship clause. I mean, think about how often that could be used. So I don't think that they're going to. I think that the Big Ten shot their load, and they asked Santaono to suspend Harbaugh. They wanted Michigan to do it. They didn't want to be responsible for it. And so, just my prediction, I think it's over till the NCAA acts, which will be in about a decade.
Well, we shall see. Time will tell.
I know.
So what do we think about that? We never got into the other issue with Stalions. So this is going to have the best Netflix documentary or ESPN 30/30 you've ever seen. No. So this guy, he has a 600-page manifesto. And
okay, hold on. Before we get into this, I just want to say that I asked Matt to go into all the scuttlebutt on Twitter about Stalions. And I am the reason we're about to hear all the fucking rumors and conspiracy theories and fucking awesome details about Stalions being the ultimate criminal and Michigan being the biggest cheaters on the planet.
Thanks, Diego. You are the ultimate, the best, and we appreciate all that you do.
Wait, let's talk about Ryan. What Ryan is saying here is very interesting, because I thought of that too. He says everything is completely fair, and I don't disagree. Tell me which one hurts them more, being called cheaters all the way up to the game, then they lose the game, and the narrative is solidified. So, okay, that's a kind of a fair point, because Michigan's, if they lose any games now, everyone's just going to be like, that's because they didn't have Connor Stalions. I mean, that's going to be like the first thing everyone says, right? And I'm really scared, and we'll talk about Penn State, but if they go to Penn State and lose, that's going to be the narrative, right? Like they don't have Connor Stalions, so they lost.
Do we want to do our predictions right now? Because I'll do mine.
We need to get into that game. We'll do that at the end.
At the end, we're already 30 minutes in, man.
32 minutes.
Are we going to do it? So we got to do the quick Connor Stalions conspiracy, and then after the conspiracy, then we will get to the prediction.
Okay, do the conspiracy. Let's go.
All right. Well, I don't know how much of it's conspiracy. So, I mean, basically, this guy was a Marine.
Of course you don't.
The guy was a Marine. He was a signal specialist. He hustled his way and got, was basically just a unpaid assistant helping out Michigan for a number of years. He finally got hired, but he has started his own LLC a year or two ago, and it so turns out that on the charter he's listed with Blake Corum, and Blake Corum, of course, says that he has no idea what he's talking about. All these people are like, "Oh, I don't even know who this guy is. He was always up in the booth or whatever." There's always pictures of them doing stuff together, and he's like talking about the name of. He's like, "Oh, I should start an LLC." BC, Blake Corum, whatever the name of the thing is called. And it has his initials and everything, and he has it on his car. He's sitting by the car with the name of his LLC on it that he's pretending that doesn't exist. And so he's selling vacuums and on Amazon, and everyone is telling him how awful he is at selling. And, just basically he's getting in trouble from the HOA from having all these vacuums on his porch. But I mean, the crazy thing is this guy, he finally gets hired by Michigan. He's getting paid $55,000. So he's getting $40,000 a year he's bringing home. And he somehow affords a $485,000 house.
That's what he reports in his taxes.
Yeah. So who knows? Yeah, he's obviously, but still, like, how are you getting a loan? I mean, if not to get political, we know some people that have in politics maybe have overstated or understated how much things are worth. But this guy, somehow his earnings, which are nothing, and he's somehow getting a $485,000 house. And on top of that, his parents, 2 weeks after he opens his LLC, his parents get a couple $100,000 mortgage paid off too. It's sounding an awful lot like the Cam Newton situation in 2010.
Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah, but
Cam Kavanaugh, Brett Newton.
To keep it sports related, it's the Cam Newton situation in 2010 where the uncle donated $300,000 to his church. It was just it's just a bunch of crazy stuff.
Didn't Reggie Bush have something like that going on too, like family members getting paid or something? Yeah.
Well, he actually got in trouble for that, but I was bringing up Cam Newton because he got away. He had no punishment, won the Heisman, won the national title, and didn't lose any of that stuff. So,
all right, but there's more to this story. There's more to this story. So tell me why you believe, and you told me this obviously not on the show. You told me that you believe he's laundering money through his LLC. Explain that to me. Yeah,
that was the other thing. So someone who doesn't have money and then they're going to all these games, it's expensive, like I don't make a ton of money, but it's expensive for me to go to these football games. Like the Penn State, Ohio State game is really expensive. And so he was buying tickets on both sidelines, and they were like the low tickets in the A deck in the first few rows. So that's an expensive ticket, hundreds of dollars each. And he was buying 2 per game so he could get the signs on both sides, get it at all angles. And he was doing that for over 30 games. So, how is he getting all this money? And the funny thing is I was making fun of all these Michigan fans. It's not just that he cheated, but this has got to be one of the worst criminals alive. He's like paying people on Venmo to do this, and he's not making it private. So he's like saying, go to the Penn State game and here's money. And you're seeing how much money he's paying all these people to do all his dirty work for him. He's leaving a big paper trail. So how is he getting all this money? I'm guessing, obviously the university is not involved, but he's obviously, it's probably a decent chance that boosters are paying him to do this whole situation.
Sure.
He's getting, so he's getting paid very well. Like all these mortgages are getting paid.
Harbaugh's using his NFL money. Just follow the money. Check the bank accounts.
Lots of allegations here.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
Is that really even issue in NIL at this point? Like where the money comes, unless it's like somehow illegal.
He's not an NIL. If Harbaugh's paying, that proves that he knew.
Well, only you have said that. Only Diego Maryland guy has ever said that.
No, I'm saying if what I was joking about were true, that would be obviously damning. And what I'm saying is Harbaugh has obviously, even from college coaching, has more than enough money to throw this peon, $50,000 here and there.
And there's also talk that Stalions has family money too. I mean, there's a lot
of parents are both teachers.
There's talk of Johnny Manziel having family money.
Matt, where did he go to college? Exactly. Where did Stalions go to college?
Where did he go?
Rocky University.
He went to, I believe he went to the Naval Academy, didn't he?
No way. They don't pump out.
Look it up.
The Naval Academy doesn't pump out these criminals that go to Michigan.
But yeah, his parents are both teachers, so they're not going to be. And also, I mean, they had a huge mortgage that was just paid off like right after his LLC started, and and then he has a $500,000 house, and it's very questionable how he's pulling all this. I mean, he's obviously
he's
very good at pulling.
He's a 2017 graduate of the Naval Academy. Connor Stalions. Generally, if I know, I don't know everything about the Naval Academy, but you got to have some pretty high up. You got to be a pretty special dude.
Yeah, you got to be
true.
sponsored.
Yeah, no, you have to be incredibly smart.
I think a senator, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, he is very smart because he's able to, outside of covering his tracks, he's very smart.
Well, now
so he's obviously not a professional criminal either, because any criminal would never do that.
Okay, but now that you say that he's a Maryland, he spent time
criminals aren't smart, dude. That's why they're criminals.
You're going to start defending him.
Now that he's a Marylander, at least on some level, I'm going to start defending him. I'm on your side, Nate. I'm on your side.
That's a bad side to be on.
All right, let's get to
thank you. Stones being thrown in glass houses.
Our compliance department cleared us. So, and also people are like looking at this stuff like it's equal. Okay, if you look at the signs, the spreadsheets that were released, like some of those were. So this is allegedly sent for the just one game. It was signs for the Purdue Big Ten championship game last year. And on that paper, there was like 2 pages of signs, just 2 pages. And one of the pages was like signals from 2020. So it was like not even relevant. There's no way that anything from 2 years before is even slightly relevant.
Oh, but wait a minute. Does that violate the sportsmanship clause? Because I'm still a little misty-eyed at everyone's principled stances on it is against the rules.
What I think the sportsmanship rule is used
I need to know. I mean, if it doesn't really matter.
I think it's being used as an emergency. I think it's being used to give the commissioner authority on extreme cases where something has to happen immediately and they can't wait a year for the NCAA to take action.
Yeah.
So they're only going to use it on extreme cases because they're not going to waste their time with small stuff. Not to mention, none of that stuff is even illegal, Nate. Even if all those allegations were true, which they aren't because at least with Ohio State they're not, and even if they were true, it's still legal.
May not be very sportsmanlike though. I don't know. We should ask the commissioner.
This is boring. Move on.
So hold on, real quick. What about the Connor Stalions manifesto? You guys?
That would probably take a whole other show.
We'll skip that later.
I don't think we have time to get into.
Yeah, Diego, this needs to be 30 minutes, so that's another episode.
Well,
let's move on to the next segment, though.
No, hold on. Have you guys heard of the manifesto?
Oh yeah, he had one. It was awesome. Actually, Connor Stalions deserves a lot of credit. He did a lot of work. He did a great job on these signs.
550 to 600 pages of
manifesto. He did a great job on those signs. Wow. Awesome job. You got to give him some credit. Even though he got them illegally, he did.
Would have made a hell of a code breaker in World War II. That's all I know.
That was some good work.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we think is going to happen with the Penn State Michigan game this weekend?
Yeah. So let's talk about that. I think one of the storylines there is the Michigan running game because it was deadly last year, and this year now Michigan's a little more balanced, and it's not just the running game with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards is kind of playing second fiddle right now to J.J. McCarthy in the pass game. It's funny because Michigan matched up so well against Penn State last year because Penn State has their defensive line is a little bit lighter, not as big, and they're meant to kind of beat up on faster defenses. They're built to, faster offenses, like air raid offenses. That's really what Penn State's defense is built for. Now Michigan has kind of gone away from what they were doing. I think it could spell problems for Michigan this weekend, especially at Penn State.
Is James Franklin still coaching?
I'm pretty sure.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's 10 points in your favor right there.
Yes,
he's going to be coaching the game.
I love to talk smack about James Franklin, but overall he's done a good job. He's what he does is he screws up games late when they're close. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be close enough where that's going to be an issue, though, unfortunately. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think without looking? What do you think the spread is in this game? Now, keep in mind, Michigan has beaten everyone by at least 14 points so far this year.
This is at Michigan?
The spread is
at
5.
Penn State.
Oh, it's at Penn State. Okay. I would say the spread is 4. 7.5.
5 or 4.
What do you think, Nate?
Oh, I already know the spread, but I know
Oh.
Diego's closest.
Yeah, it's 4.5 now. But yeah, I mean, it opened at like 6.5, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll
I
see.
think that's right.
If Michigan has to go in there and they're going to be like more of a pass first offense, that plays into the hands of Penn State's defense.
Yeah,
Really does.
Ryan's comment is spot on, and that's the way I feel about Penn State in any big game is Franklin factor, man. It's just he can't win the big games, and it's not going to happen against Michigan. Michigan, sign stealing or not, is a really good team, and they're way better than Penn State, and that's it.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Antoine, welcome. Yeah, Franklin, that's what I'm hoping. We all have to hope that Franklin is, going to Franklin the game, basically.
Yeah. Antoine and Ryan are right on that again.
People. I was gonna say people that don't follow Michigan this year probably think that they're just like the big running team. They have a more accurate quarterback this year, but they just focus on running. But it's completely opposite. After losing their center last year, their running game has taken a big hit. So Quorum is still a touchdown machine. He leads the nation in touchdowns at like 16 or 18 or something. But Edwards has completely fallen off this year. He's almost, I would say, a worthless number 2. Like in college, if you're getting under 4 yards a carry, I would put you in the worthless category. You should be getting, at least under 4 is worthless, and he's just been really bad this year. And I don't know how much of that's him versus he needs a better line, or I don't know. I mean, the guy was the best running back on your team last year, and now he can't even run. So I'm not really sure what's going on with him.
Quorum is a dirty traitor to Maryland, by the way.
Diego feels that about anyone who doesn't go to Maryland, so no big deal. And
anyway,
stop molesting the people in this chat.
Are you trying to pick up Antoine, Diego? Like what? That's weird, man. This is the internet. We don't want to know where people are.
Antoine.
Don't tell him any information. He will show up outside your house with a boombox playing in your eyes.
And he'll want to talk about Maryland football.
Be like,
don't do it.
No, I'm just curious if he's in Ohio or where.
Don't say anything, man. If you don't want to wake up tied up in the back of a car in a trunk, don't tell us, Antoine.
Oh, Ohio's a big place. I'm just kidding.
All of you guys don't know this because you're just getting on now, but before we got online, there was a naked guy walking through Diego's place.
Mostly
there
was,
but there's actually an explanation.
I don't think I want to hear.
Of course there was.
So Antoine, tread carefully, my friend, please.
That is funny. That's actually a true statement. It was my brother. He was over. He took a shower in my shower. Anyway.
Yeah, Ryan is right though. I mean,
Diego, love is love. We're all friends here. Love is love. It's good. It's all right.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Michigan's O-line's not what it was last year, and definitely not.
Yeah, I mean, really,
that's really good.
That's
notice not to answer my question.
Antoine's filing a restraining order right now.
He's avoiding my question.
Well, no, I mean, he's right about the running game too. I mean, they're not. The running game generally takes some time to get a rhythm, right?
But they also lost their awesome center, and that right. They lost the awesome center and the awesome line that they had. So running's not quite as easy.
Yep.
Yeah, you're not going to get exactly. He's not going to get warmed up, and Michigan starters haven't played in the fourth quarter all year long. I mean, they haven't even had the benefit of having a worn down defense that they're pounding the ball on them. So we'll see what happens against Penn State.
Did the starters play in the second quarter on against Michigan State?
Sorry, what was that?
Man, you and your lung Sharpies, you got to get that fixed. I said, did the starters even play past the second half or second quarter against Michigan State?
So yeah, they played the third quarter, halfway through the third quarter. Okay. But that was an ugly game.
Who wants to come to the Maryland game against Michigan in 2 weeks?
Are you paying Antoine's expenses to go? Is that what you're asking?
Talking about you guys, not Antoine. You guys want to come?
I cannot make it.
Why not? 2
Because
weeks.
I have friends and family, and it's like right after Thanksgiving. So
I think it's before Thanksgiving.
That's a week before Thanksgiving.
Today is 2 weeks from Thanksgiving.
So Jason's free then.
Yeah,
it's 5 days before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and Ryan's Blake doesn't look the same. The ACL I think is still maybe affecting him some. I mean, we'll see though. You got to give the guy a full game if they're going to pound him, but you don't necessarily want to do that to the back. He's a senior. He's been running like crazy for like 4 years now. I mean, Harbaugh I don't think wants to run them to death anyway. Guy's got to have an NFL career too.
Yeah, I'm sure he cares about that.
We'll see about that.
He says he does.
CFL.
Did we give our score? We need to give our score predictions for Penn State. Do this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do this speed round and then get this
All right,
late,
awesome.
man. It's late.
All right, Matt, let's go. What's your score prediction for Penn State? Who wins and what's the score?
I think Michigan's going to win 9-7.
What?
It's an all field goal game for Michigan.
Good Lord.
And Penn State scores a late touchdown, maybe with about 25 seconds left.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one's going to be scoring. It's going to be one of the most ugly games you've ever seen.
All right. Diego.
The defenses are both ridiculous, and I don't think Penn State's offense is very good.
I'm going to say this game is going to be 27-24. Penn State wins.
That's way too many points.
I made the mistake of picking Penn State to beat Ohio State. So we saw
27-24 Penn State.
But you know what, Diego? I mean, I think it's probably going to be close, and I don't think that Drew Aller is going to piss himself like he did against Ohio State. I think that we're going to see a better quarterback performance out of Aller at home. So
27-24 Penn State. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Ryan, I think can't pick the winner yet. But yeah, the score is 21-17, but the winner is it's only 2 days from now.
Ryan, I think you violated every rule of
give us a winner.
Names.
I half agree with Diego. I'll say 27-13. That was what I was going to go with. Michigan
beats Penn State
27-13. Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Yeah, I'm going 24-17. Michigan, Penn State.
Yeah.
And
so these are like the two best defenses in the country.
Franklin factor.
Yeah.
Nate, did you say Michigan or Penn State wins?
Oh, Michigan wins.
I don't think anybody's picking Penn State to win.
I did.
Wait,
yeah,
you did?
Diego did.
I said Penn State 27, Michigan 24.
Holy fuck, that's crazy.
You guys are picking way too many points.
I don't think so. I don't think so. 27-13 Michigan. I stand by that.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
All right.
Hey. All right. Let's do it.
We ready for the what do we call this thing?
Michigan by 3 or more TDs. Easy.
Yeah.
Hey,
could happen.
Man, I hope he's right. I hope you're right.
I'm not laughing at that. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm also not laughing
Ryan
at that.
picked Penn State.
Oh boy.
That's a heart pick. That's a hope.
Ryan,
we gotta have an undefeated Michigan versus Ohio State.
What is James Franklin's record against top 10 teams, and in the Big Ten against the top teams? That's all I want to know.
Oh, then neither are good.
No, they are not.
Yeah, it's like Jim Harbaugh bowl record good.
You know what?
It's not that bad.
There's this thing called the due theory. Penn State is due.
You know what? You know what people from Missouri, what that state's called?
The show me state.
Show me.
Yeah, being due,
not due
in college.
Show me.
It's not a thing because Michigan was due for a lot of years in the last
20 years.
Yeah, Michigan was due in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and then finally they got Stallions, and then
Stallions. Yeah, it was a staffer. It was a staffer named Stallion.
I'm just saying there's a lot of coincidences happening.
Yeah.
I
agree. Yeah, I mean, Exactly. Donovan Edwards had those 2 huge long runs, and they would not have happened without Stalions, I'm sure. All right.
Jason, let's wrap this thing
lightning
up.
round.
We're 20 minutes. We're 20 minutes past our time here.
All right, I'm gonna yell something out. You just guys answer at will. All right. What happens to James Franklin at the end of the year if they lose to Penn State and their bowl game?
Nothing.
What happens to James Franklin?
Nothing.
Michigan in the bowl game? Nothing.
Michigan?
Yes, they lose to Michigan. Yes.
He gets fewer blowjobs than he normally does from the fans. That's what he gets.
Okay, fair enough. How soon until Michigan State is respectable at football?
3 years.
3
Actually,
years?
less because Urban Meyer is supposed to be their next coach. So maybe next year if that happens.
Wait, what was the question, Jason?
How soon until Michigan State is respectable at football?
You got to assume that they're going to be respectable in football anytime.
And that's the answer I was looking for, Nate.
Okay.
That's actually the right answer.
Going to go back. Michigan State fans are almost as delusional as Michigan fans. They're all assuring us that they're going to give them like $120 million to come to Michigan State and save them.
Does Marvin Harrison Jr. win the Heisman?
No.
No, I think the quarterback numbers from the quarterbacks this year have some pretty thick numbers. It's going to be hard to beat that unless he just goes off against Michigan.
This isn't This isn't 1991.
Follow-up question: should
a wide receiver won the Heisman in 2020, Diego?
Okay, Michigan wide receiver won the Heisman in 1990 something. Right? What year did he win?
97.
No, Alabama had a wide receiver win the Heisman just a few years ago. What's his name?
Yeah.
Who?
I said DeVonta Smith.
DeVonta Smith.
Yeah, I know, but before DeVonta Smith.
Charles Woodson also won in 97 playing both ways.
Cornerback.
And Desmond Howard won as receiver before that.
Yes.
In 91.
What year? 91. This is not 1991. It ain't happening.
Okay.
All right.
Is Ryan Day a good head coach?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
He's okay. He coaches an incredible team that any fucking idiot, including Matt Plessinger, could recruit at.
These are supposed to be quick answers.
So Diego, was Urban Meyer a good head coach?
Actually, weirdly, I think he is actually a very good head coach.
In college, especially. Well, of course, he won 3 national titles. So at Ohio State.
It's not about Ohio State. It's never about Ohio State. It's about where you were before you got to Ohio State. When he was at BG,
I know he won everywhere.
Yeah,
Bowling Green, Utah.
Yeah, when he was at BG in Utah, he was a fucking star coach, and he won everywhere he went. That's different than Ryan Day and fucking other coaches who take over incredible programs.
I understand what you're saying. I just wanted to make one point real quick. So Urban Meyer had great teams and lost to Iowa and Purdue. Ryan Day may not be the best coach. I think he's a very good coach, but he doesn't ever lose the games he's supposed to win. He's lost to what? He's lost to Georgia.
Michigan 2 years ago.
He's lost to Clemson, and he's lost to Alabama. 3 amazing teams, 3 of the best teams. And then, really his only 2 bad losses were to Michigan. And, those are probably just because they cheated so badly.
Yeah. Ryan Day's not John Cooper yet, but he's trending that way. Jason.
Does a new team to the Big Ten next year win the Big Ten championship?
No, because all their quarterbacks are leaving for the NFL. I think Ohio State wins it next year. Or they'll probably
transfer portal. They'll get someone in the portal.
The only thing making me feel good about the Pac-12 teams coming in is all their quarterbacks are going to be gone.
And soft defenses.
And yes, except for Oregon.
So Ohio State has the Michigan schedule for next year. Our schedule is Cupcake City, whereas Michigan's schedule next year is a nightmare.
What cheerleader team would be most likely to mug you in a dark alley?
What was the question? You didn't even ask me the last question. What was the last question?
What cheerleader team would be most likely to mug you in a dark alley? Big Ten cheerleaders.
It's Big Ten for sure. It's some
Iowa.
It's gotta be
Iowa.
It's gotta be
I'd say Iowa too.
Yeah, some milk drinking cheerleader squad.
No, I'm going Wisconsin.
Nebraska. I'm gonna say Nebraska.
Yeah, I would say Iowa or Nebraska.
Wisconsin though. I've seen their fans.
What about Minnesota, man?
Yeah.
What? Wisconsin has hot chicks. What are you talking about?
They do.
It doesn't matter. They're passionate. They will kick your ass in Wisconsin.
Okay, but Michigan chicks are way hotter. I'm sorry.
Wisconsin
chicks are way hotter than Michigan chicks, just so you know.
Or Iowa or Minnesota or any of the other places.
Yeah. You have some dogs who are smart. Okay? Just so you know.
Was that the last one, Jason?
Last question is rate McCord's play on a scale of 1 to 10.
McCord?
He's a solid 6.
Yeah, I'm going like 6, 5.5. I don't know.
I think 6 is good. Diego, what do you think?
7.5.
Jesus Christ, get out of here.
Wow.
I'm done.
Yeah, Ryan. You're right. The Detroit.
I hope you get mugged.
I
hope you get mugged by Nebraska cheerleaders, Diego.
Wait, you missed a question. The previous question before the cheerleader question, you didn't ask me.
I said I'm going to throw out a question. You guys just answered. I'm not calling on you.
Okay,
guys.
but what was the question before the cheerleader question? I didn't answer it.
I don't. Was it who's somebody a new school going to win the Big Ten next year? I don't remember.
Next year or this year?
Next year, a new school like a pack. I forgot. Pay better attention next time.
Yes, a new school. No, not a new school as in a school that comes from another conference. A school other than Michigan, assuming they win this year, or Ohio State, will win the Big Ten next year.
You get a couple Christmas squad, you're in trouble. Ryan, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. You know.
But yeah, but
well, no, Krenzel was actually good at running. Kyle McCord cannot run.
By the way, how fucking interesting is it that Krenzel's the last? Wait, was he the last, or was it Smith? No, Smith was the last. Well, Smith and Krenzel were the last Ohio State national champion quarterbacks, and they've had all these studs who've broken records.
Cardale Jones.
Huh?
Oh, Cardale Jones.
Cardale won that.
Third on the depth chart, man. Third on the depth chart.
Did they win 3 titles? And Ohio State's won 3 titles in how long?
No, it's just 2002 and 2014.
Wait, so Krenzel won. Oh wait, Krenzel
won in 2002, and then Braxton started in 2014. He got hurt, and then JT came in, and then he got hurt, and then Cardale won the national title.
Yep.
Wait, so you're telling me Cardale, not Cardell, but yeah,
who gives a shit, dude?
Ryan,
Let it slide. We don't need to be spelling bee right now.
No, I'm just saying it's Cardale. Oh, it's spelled like Cardale with an E on the end. He was the 5th round pick, I think, from Buffalo, and then didn't have a very good career. But anyway, so wait, Troy Smith didn't win. Then that's the guy who didn't win.
He went to the title.
But Florida beat him, right?
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, my point is Krenzel wins and fucking Cardale wins, and neither one of them were shit in relation to all these stud quarterbacks at Ohio State lately. And so it just goes to show you quarterback is the most overrated position in college football. It's ridiculous the way people talk about quarterback.
Only if you're Ohio State.
It's the most important position in football, no doubt, but it is not the position that wins games. There is no single position that wins games. You need a good team around you, no matter how good you are. And that, to me, is evidence of it. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Haskins was a fucking superstar in college. I hated the guy. Now I will not say negative things about him for obvious reasons. And then, and I didn't like him because of what he did with Maryland, but that's a long story. Anyway, or it's not that long, but we won't get into it.
Please, thank you.
I'm just saying that look at the quarterback on the Texans right now. He looks like one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he didn't win Ohio State a national title.
Well, it was lightning round questions, just slow as molasses answers, I guess, is what it was. But hey,
Diego was actually real quick. Diego was actually just making our case against Stalions because if you have a guy who's a top 5 NFL quarterback as a rookie, he can't beat Michigan because they have the signs. That shows you signs matter for Michigan fans that don't think it's a big deal.
We rest our case.
Hey, let's talk about McCord real quick, though, because that was the last question. I will say this about McCord. What he does is it's real ugly when he plays. But he somehow I feel like there's a toughness to him in some way. I mean, you've got the Notre Dame game that he came back and won. Penn State looked terrible. Like, gosh, Rutgers. I mean, I know those.
But what did he do that was above the out of the ordinary, though? He didn't do anything spectacular. He just didn't lose the game.
No.
Yeah,
Against Notre Dame, he came back and won. That throw he made on 3rd and 4th down, that won the game. I'm just saying they're undefeated and they're number 1, and I'm getting Krenzel vibes.
9 out of 10 top quarterbacks, or 10 out of 10 are going to make those throws. It wasn't.
Oh, come on.
It's tough to make those throws when it's 3rd and long and 4th and long with the game on the line.
It also helps when there's one less defender on the field.
No, but that wasn't him. That had nothing to do with him. That was a running play.
Honda McCord reminds me of Eli Manning.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's probably right. They'll win some big games, but yeah, just if you watch him play, you're not impressed. I'm not talking about the stats. I'm talking about just watching.
Oh no, I agree. His biggest problem, we haven't even talked about his biggest problem. He gets pressure. He's like one of the worst quarterbacks in the country with dealing with pressure. And he just either gets an intentional grounding or whatever. He doesn't ever throw the ball away.
No.
Was it 3 turnovers he had against Rutgers in this last game?
I think he only had 1 interception. And I think that was it.
I think he had a fumble.
He doesn't carry himself like a competent guy.
Can I say something about our best guest in terms of knowledge? This show is so much better now with us than it is when Brian Weaver is on the fucking show, because he is just.
Why are you throwing shade at Brian?
Brian.
I'm saying
Brian's awesome.
He's too
analytical.
Knowledgeable.
Yeah,
he's too knowledgeable. He's too knowledgeable, and he goes fucking dark where he doesn't even show his face. It's fucking weird, and I think it's just he's like the one-man show, and even fucking Nate, when it's just him and Nate. Like, he talks the entire time because he just knows 10 times more than Nate does. I mean, he makes Nate look like he fucking doesn't know shit about college football. So what I'm saying is I'm happy that we have people on the show who aren't as knowledgeable as Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah,
he's calling us stupid.
That sounds awesome.
It's more entertaining. It's more entertaining.
No veil.
By the way, Brian, I love you. I love you, and I think you're an amazing, amazing radio personality.
And Antoine is right. Sign stealing has always been part of the game, so there's no whining. Ohio State did say they changed their plays before the Michigan game last year.
Some of the plays.
So no big deal. Yeah, Donovan Edwards had 2 big, long touchdowns, and it was awesome. Huge pass plays, and it wasn't because of signs. Nice try. Good words.
That's a great place to end the show.
Guys,
all right.
I hope you invite me again, because I really enjoy this every time. And, I think you
can always watch it on YouTube with everybody else, like Antoine. You guys can have.
Well, I think we should do this more often. I feel like our host is abdicated his responsibility as host and is only doing this once every couple of weeks.
We've done it more often. We just haven't told you.
No, I actually subscried to the YouTube.
It was on another channel.
So are we even going to mention that we're playing Sparty and we have a
because Michigan State is mentally they're done, they're dead. Like, they should just cancel the rest of their games. Pretend like they all have COVID. Cancel. Just be done.
And Diego, if you don't have a restraining order against you anytime soon, you will be invited to the next show. I guarantee it. But all right, let's wrap this up, guys. Great show. Great show. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Thanks, everyone in the comments. Appreciate it. Go Blue.
Go Bucks.
Meh.